Hi, this is Cindy. How are you doing? Today I have a card using the Botanical Gardens Product Suite that I told you about I was going to do yesterday. I'm not going to use the panel that I showed you, but you'll see it sometime later this week. However, I did like this tag, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on the card. I did a lot of pre-work because I don't think that you really need to see me cut and do all that other stuff. So what I have here is a basic black cardstock base, and it's A2 tent. So I got a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, cut it at 4 1/4, flipped it, scored it at 5 1/2, turned it over. Then I went ahead and got a panel of Cajun Craze. I did die cut this with some MFT blueprints because I'm really hooked on them, and they're just on every card. I love the stitching around it. It just really adds some nice detail. And then I got the Botanical Gardens Series paper, grabbed a piece, and popped it on top there. I'm not sure if I'm going to put that, if I'm going to add some dimension to the back of it, but I'll wing it later on. To make the tag, though, I am going to go ahead and use a scallop tag topper. And that only measures 2 inches apart, so I've cut myself a piece of Whisper White cardstock. I didn't pay attention to the bottom because I know I'm going to have to cut it anyway, or we'll just kind of see how it turns out. So I've got the top of my tag there. Then I'm going to pull my card back in, and that will give me an idea as to how far I can take this down. But I'm not going to cut anything till I'm done yet. I am going to use this flower that I showed you that I made yesterday just to pop it on top of a card. So we got 2 stamp sets. Again, we're going to be using the Botanical Blooms. I'll be using this image and this image here. And my sentiments coming from Grateful Bunch, and it's going to be, "You are totally awesome." I'm going to go ahead and grab some mint macaroon ink and just kind of randomly ink it on that tag there. I'm stamping it off to the side first because I haven't used a stamp yet, and boy do I have a juicy pad. So I'm going to be real careful and not get any smudges or anything like that on it. I'll go ahead and put 1 down there for good measure. That pad's really inky. Okay, so for my flower, we're going to go ahead and set this aside. For my flower, I'm actually going to use my pokey tool for what it's meant for once, and do something super old-fashioned for me. I'm going to go ahead and use a candy dot and a brad, and it's just these candy dots, brad bases, and pop it through. And I really shouldn't be doing this until I get a manicure because my nails are way too long. If you have one of these pads, they're great. I have one to stamp on, and then there's another one that I use to do my piercing on. This thing is thick. Okay, so these little candy brads are great, and that you just push it on through. And they're a nice size too, and you don't even have to put anything on top of it. The Stampin' Up! Pearls and rhinestones do fit on the top of that, just in case you were wondering. And if you don't have the room on the back of whatever you're trying to use this on, just you can grab something from the garage and just go ahead and cut it down, like one of those tools that you use to cut apart die cuts. So I'm really not going to mess with this flower too much now, just because I know I'm going to have to poof it up a few times. So I have the brights of the candy dots here, and I'm going to grab a Cajun Craze one. And this is how you use these, is that you just pop it right on top like that. And it fits in there. I'm just going to give it a really good press. There we go. I do know that I want to put my flower on my tag. With foam adhesive. And remember, don't get it on the back of your petals or else you won't be able to lift it up. I think I have one more piece just sitting off to the side. Perfect. I'm glad that worked out really well. For the top of the tag, I thought I would do something different for me, even though it's in the catalog. I have this clothespin here, and this image from the Botanical Blooms. I'm going to go ahead and ink that up in. We don't have basic black ink anymore. I guess there was a problem with the formula. So it's going to be in the black archival ink. There is coordinating washi tape that you could go ahead and put over this too, but that's a pain. So I thought it'd be easier just to stamp on it, but we'll find out in a minute. Okay, this is totally awkward. I just hope it goes on. So I'm going to give that a really good press. Now remember, with this archival ink, you have to let it dry or heat set it because it will smear. Okay, didn't quite turn out the way that I wanted it to, but you get the idea. And I think I know how to fix that too. I'm going to stamp it in portions. I'll do like the top. Because I didn't think that silver, I don't know what it was called, of the clothespin would make a difference, or that would get in the way since it's recessed, but apparently it did. So I have a really nice impression up there. And now I'm just going to do the bottom here. And hopefully get the same. And I didn't. And since this is photopolymer, I can see through it. And I'm okay with that. I think it still looks pretty cool. And I'm not going to edit this video either, especially not after I went through yesterday. So I need to keep moving on. I just kind of want to position on here where my flower is going to go. I think I would like just a little something right there. Got to take into consideration the clothespin. So I think that looks pretty good right about there. Then I will have my sentiment here. Bring my panel in and just kind of wing it and see how that tag's going to be. And it's going to fit just fine, and I will know exactly where to cut it. I'm going to put that back. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and use that archival ink to ink the stamp up. I'm going to stamp it off to the side since I haven't used it. Okay. And I'm just going to lay it down right about here in the middle. Give that a good press. One thing I've learned about photopolymer is that you don't want to press too hard, and that's why this is great, because I mean, all stamps, if you press too hard, they're going to smudge, and it's just going to make a mess. And another thing I learned about the Sale-A-Bration catalogs, I really wanted to use one of the products from there, but they're all rubber stamps, and I didn't want to mess with that today. So I think that looks great. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside for a few, let it dry, since I'm not going to edit and I don't want to blast my heat tool on you. And I'm not going to go ahead and stick that on any kind of my panel on any kind of dimension. So let's go ahead and just get this on real quick. I love this adhesive too. Now the blueprints I used on this card for the Cajun Craze was 15, and for my designer series paper it was 13. Okay, there we go. We've got that down. Once again, I'm going to take a good look at this tag to see where I want to cut it, because I do want to leave just like a little bit on the bottom. And let's kind of, you know what, funk this up just a little bit. And hopefully I'll get a straight cut. So I'm just using my pinking shears here. Oops, sorry. Okay, works for me. I never, ever, ever, my wildest dreams thought that I would get into this foam tape. Okay, good, it's cut small. I did cut it down to 1 3/4 of an inch, because you have to cut it smaller. I never thought that I would do that to myself, but I have to tell you, I did see a video about a card going through the mail when you just used the strips of foam tape like I normally do, as opposed to the spun foam, and it looks really bad when the recipient gets it, to be honest with you. It's just really squished and you can see the lines, and it is not a pretty sight. So I'm just going to grab my scissors here. Cut it. Save your fun foam. And I have adhesive on both sides of this. And you want to use really strong adhesive. But that tape runner I just used, that's really good stuff too. So I'm just going to pull this off, flip my tag over, get it on the back, and I really don't want it super close up to the top there. Okay, perfect. I'm not going to put it on yet. Well, yeah, I can. So all we're going to do is put stuff on top of it. And I want to position this to where it's a good presence on the card with some nice centering. And I think that will work. So let's go ahead and get the foam tape off of here. And I am going to pull just a little bit up from there because it's going to hang over, but if it does and you run into a problem, it's easy enough just to take your powder tool and run it over the adhesive, and it'll kill the stickiness. So we're just going to get that off. Okay, cool. And I'm going to grab my clothespin and place it up there, kind of like at the opposite angle. That looks pretty good. Now, to end this card, we used to have, our linen thread used to look like this here. Now it comes in a package like this. I still have both, but I wanted to show you the difference between them. This is the newer linen thread, and this is the older, and you can see the difference in the color between them, and so I much prefer the new linen thread over the old one. So I am going to do a cheater's bow here. Grab my tweezers. Just to get that middle. And I'm going to grab just another little piece. Let's get this out of the way. And I'm going to tie it around the middle. It'd look really cool if it had a bunch of these tails hanging out, but again, I had this nail situation going to where it just wasn't going to work. And, okay, I have both of my ends coming out this way, facing towards me, which means when I turn this bow over, I want them facing on the bottom, so I've got this right. This is just like a really funky, weird tie that I have to do to get it straight and finagle it and everything else while trying to keep this short because I'm not going to edit and lose any more videos. One thing I have discovered is that after you tie this, you can move it a little bit. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I just want to make sure that I have my tails going in the same direction as the bow. And even though it's messy, it's okay. It's something that you can fix. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and cut these down to a reasonable size. I'm going to pop a glue dot right there in the center. Like that. And these little guys are strong. I'm going to pull my card back in and put it right in the middle, towards the end of the clothespin, just to cover up that silver thing. And that is our card. What do you think? Super simple, very easy to make. It's a cutie, and lots of little fun techniques of stamping on the clothespin and everything, and kind of that little faux bow that we have. And now's the time where you just want to go ahead and get your pokey tool and get all of your inner petals up. And you will see that in the picture. So thank you so much for stopping by to join me today, and I will see you tomorrow, where I think we're going to have some fun with vellum. So God bless and have a great day. See you then. Bye.